What is up, everybody? Welcome in to the Shecago podcast, where I'm Alexis Jade and we talk the Chicago Bears. Um, of course, StreamYard once again wanted to delete some of my stuff. I don't get what's going on. Anyways, sorry, I'm always starting these streams like that. If StreamYard get it together. But here we are after a disappointing, embarrassing Bears loss. Um, I'll be honest with you, I have no desire to talk about the Bears right now. That was so disappointing that I've lost interest, I've lost care for the night of talking about the Bears, but we're here and we're gonna talk about it. Um, it's just very, very disappointing. Also, I keep hearing this like hammering, and I don't know if it's the neighbors upstairs or if it's someone's like playing music outside in a car right outside my window, but um, it's kind of distracting me because it's just like boom, boom, boom. Anyways, um, yeah, today sucked. I'm not gonna lie, I had a bad feeling about today's game, and I didn't want to say that. I even predicted the Bears to win because I was like, you know what, maybe it's just like I'm having an off day. I'm trying to fix my camera, it's like tilting. And, maybe I'm just having an off day and the vibes are going to be good and we're going to go into the game and we're going to have a good game. But I just had a feeling since I woke up this morning, like that it was going to be a Bears loss. And unfortunately, my gut instinct was right. And the Bears were embarrassed on national television. Luckily, it wasn't some Sunday night game, but that was just plain out embarrassing. It was a terrible, terrible game by the Bears. There's no nice way to put that. um, Bears had an awful game, completely destroyed. And you know what? My one of my nails fell out of the wall, and so I had to take down some of my decorations. And I feel like that's only fitting. That that only adds to the disappointment. You know what? So now we're missing some of the decor also, and it just all feels like it just fits. Um, Hey Alexis, sorry things only worked on my end, but the Packers looked bad if that helps. That does help. I know I tweeted that as well, that that the on the plus side the Packers lost and Jordan Love threw a pick six, but at the same time it doesn't do much, but it at least, helps ease the sting a little bit, in my opinion, that Jordan Love and the Packers lost. Lions are looking good. Lions are looking like the NFC North champs again. As much as I hate to admit it, kudos where kudos are due. The Lions are on a freaking roll. They've really built up that roster. They've really built up the trenches, which is something Ryan Poles has failed to do. And the Lions seem to have it figured out, and they are continuing to just chug along on these games. And unfortunately, we play them soon. And if this is what we look like against the Arizona Cardinals, God, am I scared to see what we look like against the Detroit Lions. But nonetheless, here we are. Yeah, that's about sums it up. Can't even properly enjoy a Packers loss. I know, it's disappointing. It's always so much better when the Bears win and the Packers lose and we can be like, feels right. Disappointing but typical, honestly, and unfortunately, that's also true. Thanks, Rome. Appreciate it. Did the Ravens, I saw some clips from the Ravens game, but I didn't see. Oh, yeah, 41-10. Yeah, you guys demolished. Okay. Okay. This seems just like every year Bears and Packers lose badly at the same time and Lions win. I will say last year it was also that is also true. Last year the Packers, like in the middle of the season, went through a stretch where they were not performing well, and then they kind of turned it around. I do think we're starting to kind of see the quarterback that Jordan Love is, which is kind of what I've been saying the whole time, that Jordan Love, he reminded me of a better version of Mitchell Trubisky, mainly because he has such a good head coach. But he has moments where you're like, yeah, he's an NFL starting quarterback. But then he has moments where you're like, what the F are you doing? And luckily for Jordan Love, I think he would look a lot more like Mitch Trubisky if he was on a team with the head coach who wasn't Matt LaFleur. If Matt LaFleur wasn't his head coach in OC, I think we'd see a much more Jordan Love who looks a lot more like Mitch Trubisky than Jordan Love, I guess. But I don't know. I don't know why I'm bringing that up, but maybe it's just to make myself feel better. What is up? Welcome in. Not the same old Lions anymore. Unfortunately not. Rome, you are correct. We used to say Lions will lion, and unfortunately that has taken a new meaning because now the Lions are just completely destroying the NFC North and the NFL. I'm pleased with my Lions other than the ability to rush the QB outside of Hutch. Yeah, I mean, luckily you guys do have Hutch. Unfortunately, he's hurt right now, but when he's healthy, you guys got him. But true that but then again, that's probably a spot you guys will look at in the offseason, and I'm sure you'll sign someone that will end up being opposite of Hutch, and you guys will be unstoppable again. I don't know. This all just feels like I don't know what more the Bears can do in the sense of like we're already so far behind, and even if we manage to catch up in the next like few years, the NFC North is good, and I don't see the Lions or the Packers really falling off anytime soon. If any team, maybe the Vikings. But even then, they have a good head coach. They still have a young quarterback in JJ McCarthy that we haven't even seen yet. Like, they still have Justin Jefferson and TJ Hawkinson. Like, I don't really think they're going to super fall off anytime soon. But yeah, I don't know. It's just like the more we struggle, the more I look at this division and I'm like, the Bears really have an uphill battle to get anywhere close to competing in this division. The Vikings also just had a fumble return for a touchdown against them, so another potential salvage, save, I think. Yes. Well, let's see. What is Minnesota game? They're losing to the Colts, but it's only the second quarter, so we'll see. I want the Vikings to lose, but damn, they're fun to watch at the moment. Vikings, I want them to lose too. If the Packers, the Vikings, and the Bears all lose, then I'll feel better, a little bit better, but even still. Because honestly, at this point, the Lions winning is kind of just expected because they've just been annihilating their opponents. So if the Lions win, at this point, I'm not super surprised. So if the rest of the NFC North loses, it makes me feel better about losing because then we still stay in contention with everyone. Saley's going to end up fired from 2 teams in the same year. Potentially. You have a lot of confidence in a Lions team that has been good for like 3 years max. I want that. Well, you know what? Unfortunately, I do because if you were a Bears fan, watching the Lions, it is. I'm not saying the Lions are going to the Super Bowl. I think they have the potential, but if you're a Bears fan looking at this Lions team from the outside, you're like, we have a long road ahead of us if we want to get to their level. I did notice you changed your display name. I did in fact notice, but I seen your picture was still the same. That's how I knew it was you. But let's get into this Bears loss because I don't even know where to start, guys. Like I said, I don't even feel like talking about it at the moment. And I'm not trying to have a depressing live, but it's like I said in the pregame podcast, for those of you that were here, that this game would be determining on how we look at the Bears going forward. If they play well, it's like, okay, we still have a shot. If they play poorly, then that makes me very nervous for the rest of the season and might be indicative of what's to come. Unfortunately, as the saying goes of the joke of, they are who we thought they were, is true. But instead of it in a positive sense, it's in a negative sense. And the Bears looked awful. There's just so many, as I rub my imaginary beard, there's so many things that I want to touch on, but I feel like almost it needs to be a separate day, or maybe we can touch on it during like Monday Night Football or something a little bit too. But for those of you who don't know, I go live for Monday Night Football, Thursday Night Football. So come hang out with us. It's a fun time. But there's so many things that happened to cause this loss. Obviously, number one is coaching. and that is the head coach, and that's the OC. And I guess that would be number 1 and number 2. And number 3, as much as people don't want to talk about it, I have to say Caleb Williams. Like, everything can be true that he is a rookie, that the offensive line is terrible, and maybe offensive line should be number 3. And I'm not saying I'm worried about Caleb Williams for the future. I still think he's the future quarterback, and I still think he will eventually be a good quarterback in this league. But you can't lie to yourself and say that he's been impressive. Like, he's had 2 good games out of how many we've played this season? 8? And even though you see the flashes, his flashes still aren't as good as I thought they would be by this point, and his lows are pretty damn low. Um, and it's getting to the point where it's making me nervous that we're about to ruin another quarterback. And it's also making me nervous that maybe because Caleb Williams was touted this generational talent, was drafted number 1 overall, and he's not looking like that. And like I said, that's not all his fault, but it does make me nervous. Maybe he was a little overhyped. Maybe we overhyped him a bit. And I still think he's going to be a great player. It's just I'm not going to lie to you. I thought we would have seen more out of him by this point. There's still 9 games left in the season. He could completely turn it around, but so far, I'm underwhelmed by what we've seen so far out of Caleb Williams, unfortunately. Um, and those are like my main things so far. That I think are jumping out to me from this loss. But let's get into some key takeaways from today's game. Now that I've kind of summarized some of it. Key takeaways. Caleb did not improve. Not to harp on the dude. He is a rookie. There's a lot of issues going on outside of him that he cannot control. But we have not seen improvement. You know, we talked from the beginning of the season of even when he was playing not that well to start week 1 through, what was it, week 3, where it was kind of like, he's not playing great, but we're seeing continuous improvement on a week-to-week basis. That's kind of halted. He played really well in the 2 games leading up to the bye week against 2 of the worst teams in the NFL, arguably, in the Jaguars and in the Panthers. But since then, 2 games after the bye, we haven't seen improvement. Technically, this week's game was an improvement from last week, slightly, but it still was a poor performance, and we still haven't seen extensive growth in 2 weeks. But I really don't want to make it seem like I'm sitting here harping and blaming Caleb Williams, because I know he's a rookie and I know there's a lot of things outside of him. But I also feel like a lot of Bears fans are like skirting around it and making, like, I see a lot of people saying, like, whenever someone brings up an issue with Caleb Williams, he'll be fine. And I'm like, I'm sure he will. I hope he will be. But like, or people getting upset in the comments, you're blaming everything on Caleb. I'm like, I'm not. But also, you have to acknowledge that, like, the dude's not playing the best. And some of that is because of the offensive line and because of the coaching, and some of it is just him. Like, I would say the pocket collapsing, things like that, like, that's not his fault. Some of the play calling, not his fault. But if you take a game like today, for example, there were multiple plays where Caleb Williams had an open receiver for, maybe it was to pick up 5 yards, maybe it was a check down, and he kept big play hunting. And I know that that's something he has to work on converting from college to the NFL, because he was a big play hunter in college. But there were multiple plays today, and people talk about how Cole Kmet wasn't targeted, and a lot of that is Shane Waldron not scheming for Cole Kmet. But there were multiple plays where Cole Kmet was open, and Caleb Williams looked right over him. Cole Kmet was open for a first down, and Caleb Williams went for the 35, 40-yard throw to Keenan Allen that was way over his head and almost intercepted. Like, Caleb Williams has to learn when to take to checkdowns. He also has to work on his accuracy. His accuracy on the shorter throws has been fine, minus last week where he struggled and just seemed juiced up too much. This week, it's once again anything like past 15 yards. His accuracy struggles. He had the big connection to Rome Odunze, but Rome was wide open because of a busted coverage. I think Caleb Williams has yet to really hit a wide receiver in stride past 15 yards. And that's something that I got a lot of criticism for some of my criticism of Caleb Williams coming out of the draft. And some of the things I brought up were his deep ball wasn't the strongest out of between Jaden Daniels and Drake May. I thought Caleb Williams did not have a stronger deep ball than either of them. So far, that's panned out to be true. I thought his accuracy could be wobbly at times when he would get a little too juiced up, or if the game was kind of hanging on his shoulders and he was trying to get too creative, that sometimes his accuracy would suffer. So far, that's kind of turned out to be true. And I'm not saying this to rub it in people's faces. I'm just saying it to say that there were reasons people had some concerns over Caleb Williams. And I still think he's going to be a great quarterback in the NFL. I think he will figure it out. I think he has shown things that we haven't seen out of a quarterback from the Bears before. But to act like he doesn't have his own set of issues outside of the offensive line, outside of the coaching that he needs to work on, then I think we're just being ignorant. So Caleb Williams' lack of improvement for the second week of a row is also concerning to me. Unfortunately, he got dinged up towards the end of the game. The offensive line was in shambles. He really couldn't do much this game. There were times where he had time to get the ball off and accuracy wasn't there, but there were other times where there was nothing he could do. So it was just a bad mix of both. And then there was drops. Rome Odunze wasn't able to hold on to a pass towards the sideline, and Keenan Allen wasn't able to hold on to a pass for a first down. So there was 2 drops in the game, but yeah, I would have hoped to see some improvement from Caleb Williams this game. So a key takeaway there to end my rant is just lack of improvement there from Caleb Williams. The defense struggled for the first time in 13 games? 13-game streak. The Shecago Bears have broken their streak of holding opposing offenses to 21 points or less. Unfortunately, that streak ended today, and the Cardinals scored almost 30 points on them. Our run stop defense was practically non-existent. The Cardinals ran the ball down our throats, and now other offenses have tape on how to beat the Bears defense because we could not stop the run for jack shite. And I got to be careful now that I'm monetized. The run stop defense was non-existent, and then Andrew Billings got hurt, and that's a big guy in our run stop defense. So another issue there from the Bears defense is the past 7 games we've been able to say that the defense has kept us in games and the defense has been elite. This was the first week where this defense did not look elite. This defense got embarrassed. We were out multiple starters. We were out Kyler Gordon. We were out Jaquan Brisker. We were out Montez Sweat. And then Andrew Billings got hurt during the game. Like we had some key pieces missing on our defense, but even still, the defense did not look like the defense they were for the first 7 weeks. And I do think they can bounce back from this if the team can bounce back from this, because right now it's looking like this team has given up even Torrey Taylor's punt, like his punt, Torrey Taylor is a solid dude and he had a muffed punt, and even that just looked like a team that was just completely deflated and just out of gas and out of desire to win. When you see Torrey Taylor make a mistake like that, and he is a rookie, but even still, and I know the field was wet and the ball was wet because it hailed on the Bears during the What were the chances? In Arizona, it starts hailing while the Bears are on offense. Like, of course it does. Of course. Why wouldn't it? Number 3, poor offense. Once again, I had a key to victory in my pregame podcast was get points in the first quarter, have a successful opening drive. And I will say their opening drive was successful. They had 2 penalties that really cost them. And there was some very, very, very questionable officiating in the first half. We had a false start on Larry Borum where he didn't move. Not sure what that was. And then we had a false start on Keenan Allen Mercedes Lewis when he was in motion and they blew the whistle for a false start. So no idea. And then there was multiple times where Cardinals DBs were just draped over Bears wide receivers and there was not a single pass interference called. And it wasn't just like Bears fans saying, oh, that's pass interference. I mean, it was so bad that even the commentators said, you know, if I'm the Arizona Cardinals defensive coach, I would say just keep playing aggressive because the refs aren't throwing any flags. So as long as they're not throwing them, just keep putting your hands in their face. Like, if that doesn't say the refs aren't throwing the flags, I don't know what does. But beyond that, the offense was just poor. We didn't score a single touchdown today. Not one. So we definitely didn't score one in the first quarter, and we started once again from behind, and then we could never catch up, and we could never get more than a few field goals, and we scored zip-a-zap 0 touchdowns for the night. So the offense was just a piss-poor performance. The offensive line was terrible. There was 2 – I mean, it's not like the field was littered with drops. There was 2 drops in the game, which it happens every now and then, but you hate to see it from a vet like Keenan Allen. The Rome Odunze one was very tight. It was on the sideline. He got like his fingertips on it. You would have liked to see him hold it in, but every other pass Rome Odunze caught, so I don't consider that big of a deal. But there was 2 drops in the game, and then we failed to get the run game established. It was kind of like we abandoned the run game. We came out in the first series just slinging the ball, which at first I was kind of like, okay, it's working, so I guess stick with it. But we pretty much barely went to the run game, and DeAndre Swift towards the end of the game was getting some breakthrough runs, and I feel like we've barely used Roschon Johnson this game. Barely utilized the tight ends, so it was just very, very confusing on what the I'm not going to pretend I'm some expert on offensive scheme or studying the film, but I could not for the life of me figure out what the game plan was. Like, there was no rhythm. It just seemed like it was drop back pass. And some of that, I think, I can't say for certain, but some of it I think was Caleb Williams looking for the explosive plays because there were people open underneath that he could have hit. That makes me wonder, like, is he missing some of the reads because he's looking for the deep play to get like the game going because they're off to a slow start? He's looking for that explosive play to get moving down the field. But even if that's the case for some of them, Shane Waldron just called a poor game. I didn't understand the concept. I didn't understand, there was no rhyme or rhythm. It's not like we were, using a lot of motion and then using a lot of play action and moving the pocket and moving Caleb Williams left and right and, switching it off between DeAndre Swift and Roschon Johnson to make it even more confusing for the defense to know who's going to get the ball. Like, it just doing or utilizing tight ends in different ways to make it even more confusing for the defense so they don't know if we're handing it off to DeAndre Swift or doing a screen to Cole Kmet. There's so many other things we could have done to get the offense in a rhythm, and I just don't understand what our plan was. And it just seems like our plan was make Caleb Williams drop back and pass 50 times in the game and hope it works. And I don't know how much of that was Caleb Williams changing stuff at the line because he does tend to do that a lot. So maybe some of it was Caleb taking away some of the runs and choosing to go into pass I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sitting here trying to blame that on Caleb because overall that was the offensive coordinator's fault. It's just hard when we don't know all the facts of what the plays were. But yeah, that sucked. That really, really sucked. And it was just I I had some hope after the first drive came out and the scripted series looked good, and it looked like Caleb Williams was really getting in rhythm and was wheeling and dealing. And then from there, we just lost all the rhythm, all of it. It was gone. Coaching. Poor coaching. I probably won't emphasize too much on this because we've already touched on it quite a few times now, but we've talked about Shane Waldron and we've talked about how Flus did not coach a good game and it falls on him. And he took some accountability right away during halftime and in his pressers, so he knows the pressure's on. But man, it's bad. It's bad. And this team looked ill prepared, and it seems a little bit like this. It's hard because fans can get emotional and get like, fire the coach right now. We got to get rid of him. This team has given up on him. But it's kind of hard to argue that at this point. Like, this team looked deflated. They looked like they've stopped believing in what the coach is preaching. And on one hand, I feel like guys like Caleb Williams or Rome Odunze can bounce back because they're rookies and this is their first go and they're realizing the NFL is hard and it's not like college. But guys like Jalen Johnson and Cole Kmet and Kevin Byard, who are vets in this league, like they've, especially people who have been on the Bears, like Cole Kmet and Jalen Johnson, they've seen this team. They've seen the losses. They were here when Ryan Poles tore down the roster with Justin Fields in his second year and said, good luck, everybody. Like, they've seen the losses pile up. And I think for them, it's going to be a lot easier to start to lose faith in your head coach when you're now in year 3 with this head coach and you're still having performances like this and you still aren't having a winning record season. I think this is when you start losing the locker room. And it starts with losing the vets. When you start losing the vets, you start losing everybody else. And I'm worried that this is what's happening. And unfortunately, I think Flus is a good dude, but his coaching just somehow I'm not a coach in the NFL for a reason, I guess, but like I couldn't tell you the specific things he does wrong to cause the team to be ill prepared and to underperform. But I also partly blame Ryan Poles because I'm not advocating for Ryan Poles to be fired, but Ryan Poles chose to not really to fix the O-line. He chose to try to patch it up with rental players, and it's not working. And he chose the offensive coordinator. Everyone, I mean, Matt Eberflus was involved in that, but Ryan Poles was in the room and interviewing these people and was part of the decision making in hiring Shane Waldron. So I don't know. I think a lot of this is also on Ryan Poles. And unfortunately, Eberflus is also a defensive head coach. And so he's putting a lot of faith in that OC to like do the right things and in that offensive staff they put together. It's not working. Also, someone I'm just realizing we haven't talked about at all is Caleb's QB coach. We hired a QB coach who came from the CFL, and that was our replacement for not having a vet quarterback on the roster for Caleb to lean on. How do we think that's going so far? Because I haven't seen or heard anything about him, and seeing how Caleb's performing and minus his 2 games against terrible defenses where the offense got it together, what are they teaching Caleb? Like, what is this quarterback coach going over with him to help him improve his footwork and his accuracy? Because it's not working. And that's another person that Ryan Poles picked out. So I don't know. It's tough. And unfortunately for Matt Eberflus, a lot of this is going to fall on his shoulders, and coaching is going to suffer. And my last takeaway here is injuries. The Bears suffered more injuries, including Caleb Williams. Now, Caleb did come to the podium. Matt Eberflus said he thinks Caleb's fine. Caleb came to the podium and said that he thinks he'll be fine. It seems like he probably rolled his ankle towards the end of the game. But like I said, Caleb Williams tweaked his ankle. Andrew Billings was out. Who else? Oh my God, I'm blanking on his name, but who started for Tyreek Stevenson, went out within the first quarter. I mean, and we already have Kyler Gordon, Jaquan Brisker, and Montez Sweat out. So this Bears team is depleted with injuries, and hopefully some of those guys that have been injured are coming back soon. But this Bears team has really been depleted with injuries, and this, especially coming off a loss, I just think the morale is going to be very, very low. And now we have to go on and play the Patriots, and we'll see. Honestly, at least we play the Patriots next, and then we have some time for some people to get healthy before we get into these divisional games. But oh God, just not good, not good at all. And I see some comments flying in here, so I'm going to get to some of you guys here before getting into my grades for the game. Let me see, where did we start off here? We need to vent, then figure out how to get to an alternate reality where the Bears are perennial powerhouse. I agree. We need to find that reality. I did see, I don't know if you're watching the live right now, but someone commented on my YouTube video a bit ago, and I haven't been able to read the full comment. But there was a comment talking about how me talking about space and alternate dimensions has cursed the Bears because I need to acknowledge God is real or something. But I hope you know that space is real. Like space itself is not fake. So whoever left that comment, if you're watching right now, just know that like space itself is real. Maybe the alternate dimensions you could argue, even though Einstein was the one talking about it, so I still think it's kind of real. But space is definitely real. So that part, I don't think I'm jinxing the Bears by talking about space. But anyways, the coaches won't even talk to Caleb when he was coming off the field. I didn't see that. I seen I mean, Caleb was kind of hobbling around, and I think he was pissed off and just wanted to get to the locker room. So I don't know if it was like them not talking to him or him just trying to hurry up and get to the locker room. I hate to say this, but maybe the Bears need to stop drafting top quarterbacks. They seem to wreck a lot of them. Yeah, they sure do. Unfortunately, because I don't know, man. You're not wrong. Like I don't know why the Bears do this or how we do this, but every time, and that's with everyone who's like, we need to fire Flus, and I'm like, I agree, but this isn't something to be excited about because once again, we're repeating the cycle. We are firing the head coach, firing the OC, and replacing everything in the quarterback's second year of development. Make it make sense. And we don't even have a veteran quarterback on this roster to like help Caleb Williams. We have Tyson Bagent, who has one more year under his belt than Caleb Williams. Like, and he's been benched. He's our backup quarterback, so he doesn't even have that much playing experience. Like, I don't know, man. Maybe the old lady should sell the team. It's never gonna happen, unfortunately. Although I don't know who the McCaskies like lineage is after George McCaskey. Like, I don't know. They could sell it to me. If enough people send in super chats and buy merch when it's out and watch the videos to get ad revenue, maybe I'll make enough money to buy the Bears. So send them in and I'll get to work, guys, and I'll turn this franchise around. Oh wait, I read that one. Whoops. Being a Bears fan sucks. It does. It's hard because we get so excited and we get so pumped up and And we always buy into the hype because we just want this team to be good. Like, we've been striving for this team to be good for so long. And it's like, even when it seems like we get the pieces, like, we have a good defense, we have the personnel on offense, and yet we still can't do it. And it's like, what more do we need? Like, why can we just not figure this out? And it's so depressing because every time we get our hopes up, we're just let down, and it sucks. Chris, 1, buy a better coaching staff. 2, build top 10 O-line. 3, get a few depth players in a couple key positions, and we're right in the mix in this division. That's true, but, like, we shouldn't, like, when I said this in a tweet, and I said this in my post-game video I posted on Twitter, like, the rebuild's over, and people who don't agree with that, I don't mean in the sense, like, we should be winning the division right now. I mean, this is year 3. At this point in the rebuild, we should be seeing the rewards from it. We should be seeing the production on the field. We should be seeing it in the win-loss record, and we're not. We should be seeing that we're starting to be able to compete with some of these better teams. Not necessarily winning the division yet, but we should be able to be neck and neck with these teams. And we're not even close. Now, if we come out and we split with all these teams in the NFC North, then maybe we are on track. And maybe if we do exactly what you said, build up the O-line, get a new head coach, maybe we are right on track and can next year compete for that division title. But the way this team is looking right now, we are nowhere close to that. And we should be much further ahead than we are, having almost year 3 be almost done. And on top of that, you look at teams like Green Bay, who didn't even need a full rebuild, and they're already where they're at. The Commanders didn't even need a full rebuild, and they're already where they're at because they got the stuff right. And we didn't. Again, and you're seeing that we're even year 3 of a rebuild, like, we should be further along than we are. Yeah, for Johnson, check down that led to the sack. Wait, what? What is this about? For Johnson, check down that led to the sack. Like, he should have checked it down to Johnson? Oh, yeah, there was the one play where Johnson was wide open, and Caleb Williams decided to, like, hold on to the ball for some reason. Yeah, Johnson was, like, right in front of his face, like, wide open, and Caleb Williams was, like, looking for the big play. Meanwhile, the pocket's just completely collapsing on him. That was bad too. He did hold the ball too long. Caleb, and this was something I said about him too, coming out of college. I said that he, if Bears fans criticize Justin Fields for holding the ball too long, Caleb also holds the ball too long. He did in college, and I knew that would be something he would have to learn when he got to the NFL, that he would have to learn to get rid of the ball quicker. And there are times where he has done that in the quick game, but you saw it today. Like, you saw today where there were people open and he wasn't hitting them because he was holding onto the ball looking for the big gain, and it cost them first downs. And that is something that he will just have to learn with reps and watching the film and realizing that he can't do that in the NFL. There are times that you can, and there are times that you can't. And when a game is going as it did today, you need to be getting rid of that football. And unfortunately, it's just something he's going to have to learn. But you would have liked to start seeing him make some of those improvements sooner. I feel like the Bears' bigger QB issues, they seem like they're always trying to get a QB to mask the offensive line flaws instead of addressing the flaws before getting their QB. Yeah, I don't disagree. I think Ryan Poles, on one hand, I understand the moves he made because, the talent that was available in the draft and the picks that they had. However, I think the fairest criticism you could give Ryan Poles is that he built this roster opposite. Like, I am happy we have Caleb. I'm happy we have Rome. I'm happy we have Jaquan Brisker, even though he's had some concussion issues. I'm happy we have Kyler Gordon. I'm happy we have Torrey Taylor. But, like, we built this roster from the outside in instead of the inside out. And I think there's enough proof on paper and on tape and everywhere that like you don't even need the best wide receivers in the league if you have an offensive line that can keep you upright and you have a play caller who knows how to call plays. And unfortunately, those are two things that the Bears don't have. We have some stud wide receivers, but we have an offensive line that can't hold up the quarterback. And there are times where Caleb Williams is getting pressured under 3 seconds and he doesn't have a lot of times to get rid of the ball. And there are times where Caleb Williams has time to get rid of the football and he's either holding on to it or he's throwing from a clean pocket and just overthrowing dudes. So I don't know. I think it's a mix of both, but I definitely don't disagree with your comment that sometimes it seems like the Bears are trying to mask their lack of talent or lack of offensive line with, and I do kind of think in a way Ryan Poles knew that. I think he thought this offensive line was going to be better than it was. However, I do kind of think he knew it wasn't a top tier offensive line, but that he thought Caleb Williams would be able to kind of work around that. Because in a way he did when he was in college, but that was college. That's not the NFL. And I think we're realizing very quickly that even someone who's as good as Caleb, at least as good as he was in college, can't escape a bad NFL offensive line. Do you feel Caleb has enough time in the pocket? In general, no. I think the offensive line has been bad. However, I think it's a mix of both. I think to answer your question in a broad way, I'll say no, he does not have enough time in the pocket. However, is that a fair like scapegoat? No, because there's been time where he's had time in the pocket, or even if it hasn't made it to 3 seconds, there's a like today at like 2 seconds in the pocket, his check down was open, or someone was open across the Cole Kmet was open, or on the failed touchdown to Keenan Allen. DJ Moore was streaking open on the slant right in front of the end zone. That would have been a touchdown, but he wasn't looking at him. He was looking for the big play. So it's a mix of both, but I definitely think the O-line has been a problem for Caleb. I liked Penix, so we'll see on that one. Yeah, Penix, we haven't even seen, totally forgot about him. And I don't know when we'll see him because Cousins is still playing. But yeah, we haven't even seen Penix yet. So who knows with him? Or play shotgun only. Well, I would like to see more play action. Because if we're going to throw the ball as many times as we did today, what I also don't understand is why we have Caleb just standing back in a pocket that can't keep him upright instead of rolling him out more. And to be fair, there were times where we rolled him out and he just had to throw the ball away because he was being pursued too quickly. But yeah. Holds the ball too long and slow to check down. Yeah, I mean, at least today, I feel like that's a fair criticism. Why does Waldron hate Cole Kmet? Waldron has had issues utilizing his tight ends in the past when he was at Seattle and stuff, but I feel like it's a dual fault today. I feel like it's like 75% Waldron's fault for not utilizing the tight ends and Cole Kmet more today. But speaking today specifically, there were also times where Cole Kmet was open and Caleb Williams wasn't looking his way, wasn't throwing him the ball. So I feel like there's a duality blame there, but I would give the majority of it to Shane Waldron on that. Also, I'm getting a sip of water quickly. My throat hurts from yelling at the TV. Piss poor indeed. Yeah. Wait. Not FYI. FYI, no. What does the abbreviation mean? I don't know if I'm blanking or I just don't, my brain's not working, but I'm going to skip that part. You're more articulate about football strategy than me and most of my friends. Well, thanks. I don't know if I fully I know I don't fully know everything. I do feel like sometimes I'm wrong about things, but I also feel like a lot of the things that I was like harshly criticized, mainly on Twitter, criticized about in the off season were some of my critiques of Caleb Williams or some of the concerns I had for him. Not that I said I never disagreed with the idea of drafting him. I was, however, high on Drake May, and Drake May so far on a Patriots offense with a bad offensive line has been playing pretty all right, and we're going to find out when we play him next week. But some of the concerns I had about Caleb Williams, I feel like have kind of shown their face, and I don't necessarily like that, and I don't want that to be the case. But I will say it kind of gives me a little bit more confidence in the sense of like, for how much flack I got for it during the off season, like sometimes I know what I'm talking about. Sometimes when I see what I see, I'm just speaking the truth. But you know, I also said we should stick with Fields, and obviously Fields isn't currently a starting quarterback, so maybe I was wrong about that. But like I said, I was never against drafting Caleb Williams, though. I still think I would have drafted him number 1 overall, but I was still very high on Drake May, and I'm very curious to see how his rookie season goes, because so far, all things considered, he's on a much less talented team than Caleb Williams, and has I guess at this point you could probably say they have a similar offensive line. And Drake May's still making stuff happen. He's not perfect, but I've been pretty impressed so far with how Drake May's done from his limited playing time. But appreciate your comment. Thank you. Caleb is a shotgun QB. Well, that's all he knew from college. So he had to start learning to get under center in the NFL. But I do think it would be wise if Waldron utilized shotgun more to utilize what he has experience in and what he's comfortable in. Especially, I wish they would have done that more early in the season to get him more acclimated to the NFL while also utilizing the part of his game that he's more comfortable in. But I guess I'm not the OC. Love to you, my friend. Appreciate it. Thank you. Also, I saw Josh Allen be a boss. I'm Josh Allen. I gotta say I'm gonna make a video on him. I've decided. Not just the second I decided. I've been planning my NFL content that I've been wanting to make. I've been so focused on the Bears that I've been lacking in my NFL content. But I think the next video I make is going to be about Josh Allen, because he is one of my, if not my favorite quarterback in the league, and he has been for the past few years. And I think he's why I enjoy watching the Bills. But I love Josh Allen, and I think he does not get some of the respect around the league. Even though everyone knows Josh Allen is good, I feel like he's dealt with a lot of criticism and a lot of unwarranted critique when that dude is just elite, like elite. And I saw he had another insane play today where he was literally getting pummeled and ripped one to his receiver in the end zone. So kudos to the Bills and to Josh Allen. The dude is a boss. Also, I'm in love with his girlfriend, Hailee Steinfeld. I'm jealous of both of them. Like, they're, talk about a power couple. Yeah, I'm equally jealous of both of them. Ron, you'll know the Bears have hit bottom if the Patriots are Vegas favorites for next week's game. Even worse if the Bears lose. Yeah, that's true. Actually, what is the Patriots Patriots? What is their record right now? 2-7. Okay, yeah, they're 2-7 if we lose to them. They lost to the Titans 20-17, but what was Drake May's stats? Let's see. Obviously, stats don't tell the whole picture, but I'm curious now. Oops, I need to say stats. I saw he did do a Hail Mary that converted, which the Bears were not able to defend. Okay, so his stats from today's game: 70% completion percentage, 206 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Not great. 69.8 rating. I would say overall, His stats, I mean, against the Jets, they weren't good, but it's the Jets, and it was his first game in the NFL. Against the Texans, 243 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 88.8 or 88.3 rating. Against the Jaguars, 276, 2 touchdowns, 109.7 rating. And then he had to play the Jets again, another hard game for him. And then today's game. So all things considered, like his just looking at his stats and not like evaluating each game, Drake May's only played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games in the NFL, and it looks like what a rookie quarterback would look like. And he's playing with not a lot of talent on his team, so I'm impressed. But we'll see how he plays on next Sunday against the Bears, because the Bears should hopefully have some starters back, so we'll see. Patriots better not be LOL, go Bills. Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see. Honestly, after the Bears' performance, I wouldn't be surprised if the Patriots are the betting favorites. However, the Bears still have a better record, so I would be surprised. But I guess today's loss was something, though. Lack of talent on the O-line tends to make your QB look worse than he actually is. I agree. And like I said, this isn't me trying to blame everything on Caleb. Like, a lot of it is coaching, offensive coordinator, O-line. But Caleb is also, I don't know. I don't want to be too harsh, but he's, to be honest, in my opinion, he's underwhelmed so far. And it's not to say I don't think he's the guy. He's shown flashes. He just hasn't shown as many as I thought he would have by now. He hasn't shown to the extent I thought he would have by now. Like, we haven't really seen many of his wow plays, and his lows have been pretty low. It's just not what I expected so far, especially with the talent he has around him. But like I said, a lot of external factors. Coaches never talk to Caleb all game. They are gone. I didn't pay attention to that during the game, but I guess that's probably true when I think back on it. Well, I did see, I saw some offensive coaches sitting on the bench with Caleb and looking over the iPads and stuff. So it did seem he was talking with coaches. I just don't know to what extent, but yeah, I don't know if I recall seeing Shane Waldron over there or anything, but maybe he was. We need an offensive line. Agreed. We need a center too. That would help. Oh, that's who else got hurt today. Darnell Wright also was hurt. So our already beaten up offensive line took another hit today. We can make some trades for offensive linemen. Here's the thing. We can, but I don't know what teams at this point in the season, I don't know what teams are trading away quality offensive linemen. I think you would be trading Nate Davis for another Nate Davis. In my opinion, I don't think you're really getting any quality offensive linemen at this point in the season. I think you're not getting that until the offseason, and draft and trades and everything else. Great point on Poles not fixing the O-line. They are an embarrassment. Yeah, Poles deserves blame for that. And, he deserves credit for a lot of the picks he's acquired, but the one thing he's really fallen short on, and it's not for lack of trying. He's made moves. He drafted Darnell Wright. He drafted Braxton Jones. He acquired Nate Davis. He acquired Ryan Bates and Coleman Shelton. However, you could argue 3 of the 4 or 4 of the 5, however many that is, haven't really panned out. And Braxton Jones is we miss him when he's gone, but I would not say he's I think if you could probably get another left tackle that could compete for his job, put it that way. And Darnell Wright he had a good rookie season, and it's been a bit of a down year for him this season. I still have hope for him, but it definitely has been not the best of starts for him either this season. The CFL, oof. Yeah, that's where Caleb's quarterback coach is from. Now, they picked him specifically because he has experience playing in the NFL and in the CFL. But yeah, that's his QB coach that I haven't really seen anyone talk about. And I'm curious if, more mainstream media or other like Bears people that are more popular than I am are going to start talking about that. So we'll see. And just know that I brought it up first. Where he was, I didn't see him coaching him up in the game. Yeah, I mean, that's possibly true. I don't, or where was he? I didn't see him coaching him up in the game. Yeah, I don't know if Shane Waldron was, but I know I saw some clips of the sideline and Caleb was sitting with some coaches with the iPad and stuff. And there was another one where they were like in a huddle talking it over. So he was definitely talking with people. I think rookie QBs really need someone to learn from. I agree. I think that's part of the struggle Caleb's going through right now and that was part of Poles' plan with having that coach from the CFL as Caleb's QB coach, is that was their replacement for not having a veteran quarterback because they wanted to keep Tyson Bagent. But I think you could argue that not having that veteran presence in the room to really like lean on and kind of teach you about what defenses are doing, the things that you've seen, going over the plays with you and kind of breaking down what you see versus what the vet sees. I'm sure that's not helping. That's for sure. Bears fans not knowing the QB coach's name says a lot about him. I mean, yeah, what is his name? Bears QB coach. Kerry Joseph. Played in the NFL, CFL, NFL Europe, and World League, and coached with the Seattle Seahawks. Named the CFL's most outstanding player in 2007. Take that what you will. Take that what you will. Vikings missed another field goal? All right, let's go. QB coach press conference stat. Sign me up. I want to hear this QB coach talk. What have they been doing to help Caleb Williams in his footwork and his accuracy issues? Flus has lost the team in my view. It's definitely possible. Definitely possible that he's now lost the team at this point. Just think, in some alternate dimension, Flus has been fired. I got to be honest. I don't know if there's an alternate dimension that exists in which the Bears fire a coach mid-season. If you're talking the end of last season, potentially. Maybe there's an alternate universe where the Bears are currently coaching with Ben Johnson. Granted, I don't like relying on that because I really don't know if Ben Johnson even wants to come to the Bears or if the McCaskies would pay what he wants to be paid. So as much as Flus needs to be fired, I think we need to broaden our horizons into other potential candidates if it's not going to be Ben Johnson, as much as I want it to be. Who knows? Maybe Ben Johnson is a great OC, but a terrible head coach. It would be the Bears' luck. Wait, do they not know that God is cool with the space ghosts? Otherwise, it'd be so lonely out there. Yeah, this is in reference to that comment. Yeah, I guess not. I guess they think the space ghosts are like, and God are not cool, but the space ghosts are totally chill with it. If you don't know the space ghost reference for anyone new, it's a thing. Come join the Monday night and Thursday night live streams where we watch football and we talk about everything and anything, especially when the games are boring. We start talking about space and alternate dimensions and favorite Thanksgiving foods and everything else. So if that's your thing, come on and join. It's a fun time over there. We have some fun chats. I mean, in game, yeah, I really don't know. I couldn't tell you. Half the time I wasn't even looking at the screen because I was getting so pissed off. Also, I keep touching my eye because I feel like there's like a hair in my eyelashes or something and I can't get it. Anyways, you can fire Eberflesch, but that won't fix the lack of talent on O-line. Agreed. Firing Flus won't magically fix the O-line issues and the play calling issues on offense. I need to find the dimension where Bucks and Bears are both top teams. Same. Poles made the same mistakes as everyone else. No offensive line. hires no offensive line. I think that means like but hires a DC for a head coach. Um, and hires a DC for a head coach. Yeah, it's I don't necessarily hate I don't necessarily hate hiring a defensive minded head coach. I know offensive minded head coaches are the rage in the NFL and for a reason because they're succeeding. Um, but I do think a good defensive coordinator, a good defensive head coach can really help a rookie quarterback understand NFL defenses more. And I will say maybe that's true. Maybe he is helping someone with that because Caleb Williams does seem to be doing all right with diagnosing NFL defenses and reading them. And Caleb deserves most of the credit for that. But I'm sure some of it is because Flus is helping him diagnose defenses and explaining what he sees. But, at the end of the day, the offense has to perform and they're just not performing. I am your newest follower on Twitch. Wait, you were just commenting from YouTube, weren't you? You converted to Twitch? Love it. This team is sunk until they sell. Yeah, I don't know if they'll ever sell, guys. Like I said, send in send in the super chats, rewatch the lives over and over, get the ad revenue up, and if I make enough money, I'll buy the team. I honestly would. If I had the money, I would buy this team in a heartbeat and get this ship on the right path because I'm tired of losing. And I would do everything in my power to get us a Super Bowl. I'd listen to the fans and I would hire the right people. You can trust me. Not going to be neck and neck with good teams with a rookie QB and a bad O-line next year, maybe. Maybe. I'm not trying to be pessimistic, but at this point, we haven't proven we can even be a mediocre team. Guys, we might not even finish with a better record than last year. The way it's going right now, if we continue playing like this against our divisional games, we could get swept by all our divisional opponents, and then we're really in trouble. So I don't know. I think we have some risk here. I have hope for the future, but we got to start righting the ship real quick. And we have a super chat for the Bears by the Bears Fund. Let's go. Thank you, some guy named Dave. We're $5 closer to me buying the Shecago Bears from the McCaskies. So if you want me to buy the Bears from the McCaskies, donate to the fund, and we will work on buying this team from the McCaskies and turning the Bears into Super Bowl contenders once again. And not just one Super Bowl contender, but I'm talking like the Chiefs, back to back, always in playoff contention, always in Super Bowl contention, have an elite roster, elite head coach, elite OC, elite QB, and we are just dominating the NFL and shoving it in everyone's faces. That's the team I'm building. And I'm going to recruit some of these vets from past Chicago Bears teams and have them help me find the right people for this team. So we are $5 closer thanks to some guy named Dave, and we're one step closer to making this team a Super Bowl team. Thank you. Appreciate your super chat. Beating Detroit is out of the question at this point. Yeah. I feel stupid for making the bold prediction this offseason that the Bears would sweep the Lions. Still could happen. I think there's a 0.00001% chance of it happening now, but it could. But that was my bold prediction this offseason, and that is not boding well for me right now. Deja vu all over again? Honestly. Will you marry me? Well, you have Packers helmets as your profile picture. So unfortunately, my answer is going to have to be no, because your profile picture is too scary. I just, I see Brett Favre and I see Jordan Love and Aaron Rodgers, and it just, I don't know if I can do that. Being behind being behind makes the O pass more, which causes the O line to get hurt. Going 3 and out so often get the D players hurt. Yeah, I mean it's just a series of unfortunate events. It just goes round and round and round and round. Like I said, I don't really understand the lack of movement in the pocket, lack of moving the pocket, I should say, lack of play action, lack of utilizing the run game. There was lack of utilizing the tight ends. There was a lot more we could have done that we didn't do. You win in the trenches. Bears haven't figured that out. They have not, which is crazy because we have a GM who was a former offensive lineman for the Bears. So I seen on that Briggs and Brown like podcast they do on the CHGO where they were making a joke about how they like remember playing with Ryan Poles, and Briggs was like, yeah, I remember playing with them, and Brown was like, you do? And he was like, yeah, I remember we were walking to the lunch table and Poles walked by and he was like, hey, and we were like, hey, and then we sat down and that was the one time we talked to him. And then Brown was like, there's no way you remember that. And Briggs was like, nah, I just made that up. I don't remember him at all. It was so funny. That one gave me a good chuckle. Like the dude Poles was on our team for like a week and then was cut. But I thought that was a funny story. Briggs cracks me up. He's a funny dude. When Williams has had time, he doesn't throw consistently accurate. Yeah, no, that's very true. And he is a rookie, and there's going to be mistakes. And like I've said, offensive line, play calling, head coach. But yeah, there have been times where he has had time, he has had a clean pocket, and hasn't been accurate. Very, very valid. Tyrone Smith, Caleb needs to stop changing plays and run to play that the offense coordinator gives him, and he's holding onto the ball too long. I brought this up pre-podcast, and I think the end of the post game last week too. I'm also wondering how much Caleb is changing the play at the line of scrimmage, because it seems like he does it a lot. And I wonder how much that affects the offensive line, like with false start penalties or players like Cole Kmet and Mercedes Lewis getting false start penalties and stuff and because he's also doing hurry up because he wants to run hurry up offense and he's changing the plays. I do wonder how much that's affecting the rhythm of the offense and being able to everyone get established and know what play they're doing and know what routes they're running and stuff. I would like to see more of a balance of Caleb sticking with the plays that are called and then checking to different plays when he needs to. And maybe he is right now. I'm not going to pretend I know for sure. But it does seem like he changes it up at the line of scrimmage a lot. On one hand, I'm glad that he is doing that so early. I think it's a good sign, but I would agree that I feel like maybe he does it. I don't want to say for certain because I really don't know, but it may be a contributing factor to why there maybe are so many like false start penalties and stuff on the offense. So I don't necessarily disagree with you. For what it's worth. Okay, got it. Thank you guys. I'm not good in my my abbreviation lingo. Do you guys remember that commercial from back in the day? When texting first came out, and it was an old lady, and she was like talking. I think it was an older lady was talking, and her granddaughter or her daughter like came in the room and was like, "What are you doing, grandma?" And she was like talking to my BFF Jill, and then the daughter was like talking to her, and then she was like, "GTG ILY BFF Jill," and it was like meant to be a joke about like the new lingo kids are using for texting, the new thing that people are doing. I explained that commercial very poorly, but do you guys remember that commercial? Like, I quote it all the time, and I'm like, my BFF Jill, because I just think of that commercial, and I don't know why. Good times. I just thought it was ironic the scores between the Bears game and Packers game were very similar. Yeah, I also think the Packers struggled against the Jaguars too, didn't they? Was the last team they played that the Bears like annihilated, and the Packers ended up like having a pretty close game with them that came down to a field goal. So it seems the Bears and Packers are both kind of like having some mid-season woes at the same time. Um, I do not know. I do not know what you think. However, I'm not very confident this team can beat anyone at this point. I would definitely say my confidence is lower. I definitely don't have a lot of confidence in this team being able to beat anybody. The way they've been performing, it's hard to have, even going against the Patriots. Like, I have confidence that this is a game the Bears should win coming up next week. However, with the way we've been playing, I don't know. Excuse me. It definitely it gives me a lot more nerves that there's a potential where the Bears lose to the Patriots, put it that way. And that's the easiest game we have for the rest of the year. After that, it gets very, very difficult. So yeah, I guess my confidence is a little shot with this Bears team. Currently, the Bears are minus 7-point favorites. I expect that to go down during the week. Yeah, probably. After this loss, probably. I think after the Flu's failures at managing games, the team has tuned him out. Potentially. I also think I think like hearing players like Cole Kmet, what they say is interesting because Cole seems to have a positive spin also because he has to, because he's talking to the media. I do find it interesting when players like Cole Kmet and DJ Moore are like talking about games and they're like, we're still doing good, we're on the right track. And from an outsider perspective, it's like, you guys are like, you got a lot to work on. Or like, I remember one time Braggs told Cole Kmet, like, I was panicking during the game when we were down at the half or we were winning by like a point, and Cole Kmet was like, you were panicking about a game that we were winning. But I'm like, do the Bears players really have this much confidence in themselves when they're like just playing mediocre? Like, is that what the coaching staff is instilling in them, that like the way they're performing is good? Because from an outsider who's not on the team, you're watching this and you're like, you're being outplayed, buddy. Like, you are being outperformed. And we're panicking because this game could easily slip away. So it kind of just makes me think, like, is he just saying that for media because he has to like be positive to the media, or do they actually like it? Are they actually being told like that they look good? Makes me nervous. We're trash, unfortunately. Yes. Andrew Stevens. That's a fun profile picture. The more I distance myself from the Bears, the healthier I am. It's tiring watching boneheaded coaching year after year, regardless of who the coach is. Yeah, I don't disagree. Unfortunately, I decided to start making content about the Bears on YouTube, so here I am. But it's definitely draining. Like, it's not a fun conversation we're having today about the Bears, unfortunately. But in a way, it's a good way to vent it all out and move on, I guess. O-line got Caleb looking like Bryce Young out there. A little bit, yeah. Y'all see Saquon jump over the guy backwards? Yes. Oh my God. DeAndre Swift has some good hurdles too, but he literally jumped. I don't know what he did. He did like I was gonna say pirouette, which I know with my dance background is like that what he did was not a pirouette, but we'll go with it. He did like a pirouette. He jumped and turned over the dude's head. It was crazy. That's some powerful stuff right there, Saquon Barkley. Don't put that on the Bears. You beat the Panthers. Let's see. I believe part of the offensive line problem falls on the. Yeah, I'm very confused on why we retained Chris Morgan. I was very surprised with that in the offseason when it was announced that he was the one coach that was staying on the Bears. I did not understand that at all. I don't like how this offensive line has performed. And I know our talent's not very good, but like there's no way you can watch the offensive line performance the past few years and be like, you know what? Chris Morgan though, we're keeping him. He's got this offensive line on lockdown because he sure as hell doesn't. So I have no idea why we retained him, and he better be gone after this year. Not a fan of that. That true established QB vet is absent for the Bears for a while. Yep, very true. QB coach is Kerry Joseph. Yep. If the Bears lose to the Patriots, don't be surprised if Eberflus gets fired on the spot. I don't think he will. The Bears have never done it. I would be more surprised if the Bears fired Eberflus mid-season because they've never, ever, ever fired a coach mid-season. I would be shocked. Ben should stay in Detroit forever? No, I refuse. Look at that. I get a notification. Josh Allen commented on Hailee Steinfeld's post on Instagram. I don't know why I'm getting that notification, but okay. Good to know. Hailee Steinfeld is such a good actress. I love her. And I love Josh Allen. Just love them both. Maybe that's why. Instagram just knows. But no, you don't get to keep Ben Johnson forever. Da Bears. Wasn't the Bears' last established vet presence 2021 with Dalton and Foles? Yes. That was the last time we had. Yeah, that was. Who in 2022, who did we have? Oh, in 2022 we had a vet, but we had oh my god, what is his name? Why am I already forgetting his name? He was just on the practice squad this year. Whatever, we had him. I'm totally blanking. I don't know why. But I wouldn't say a solid bet. I'd say Foles is a more solid bet. Joke's on them. We were all space ghosts spinning on a globe in space. Literally. We're just hovering on this thing. Just hovering on this planet in some alternate dimension. There's a Bears team that are still called the Shecago Staleys that have won 7 Super Bowls in some universe. I think it's the new moon. Can't see out here. Potentially. So the space ghosts were inside us the whole time. What a twist. That sounds creepy when you say it out loud like that. They were inside us the whole time. The space ghosts are us. If I just casually had $6 billion. Yeah, if any billionaires are in the stream right now watching, I don't even need like $1 billion to get started. If you just give me a small loan of $1 million, I can start my my bid to buy the Chicago Bears. Sometimes I make myself laugh. Poles needs to make some tough decisions here, or this team is going nowhere. Agreed. You came across my sports Twitch recommended. Oh, no worries. I'm glad it's making its way around Twitch. I don't really know how Twitch like distributes it. I think it ends up on like the Just Chatting channel or something. I speak from experience, but sometimes you can get much better ownership from the same family. Don't know for the Bears though. True. I forgot the Lions kind of did that. Well, maybe if some like distant relative of mine is a McCaskey, and so I mean, I come from a McDowell, so like maybe in some way I come from a lineage of McCaskey, and I'm part of the family, and when I get my small loan of $1 million, they let me buy the Bears from them. I'll let you know how that works for me, guys. Keep sending in the super chats. Billionaires in the chat. That's what I'm saying. I just need a few dollars. Just a few. Never mind buying the Bears, get new tires. Yes, I need to buy new tires and I need to buy the Bears. So we got to start saving up here, folks. 24 billionaires in Chicago. Well, get them to my stream. Share the stream, like it, comment so it spreads the word and it reaches at least one of those 24 billionaires living in Chicago, and it reaches them. And if they come from old money, send them my stream when I dressed up as Marilyn Monroe for Halloween, and maybe that will appeal to them. Maybe I'll touch them in the soul. This one was rough. It seems like the players on both sides just given up. It really did. When Torrey Taylor missed that punt, had that muffed punt, is when it really set in, like, yeah, this is, well, when we got the safety, and then when Torrey Taylor had the muffed punt, that's when I was like, yeah, this team has lost it. It's given up. That's when it hit for me. Please replace your tires. We can't buy the Bears if you are an Earth ghost. I really need to buy new tires really badly. Really, really badly. I hope it doesn't snow soon because I don't have new tires yet. If the Lions don't score 50 on us, it'll be a good game. At this point, honestly. She can't marry a Packers fan. She's holding out for a Chicago Bears shareholder. Yeah, that's what you got to do. Unless Hailee and Josh want to make it a throuple, then I would be happy to be like a stakeholder in the Bills. Maybe once I make enough money as a stakeholder in the Bills, then I'll turn around and buy the Bears. That's another way I can get there. So you just got to think of all the possibilities, whichever comes first, you know. Anyone have experience recruiting billionaires to their cause? We need a politician. Yeah, it's political season. Get them to the stream. They're not going to have much to do when the election's over. So if they're looking for some funds to contribute, somewhere to really like advocate for their campaigns, send them over this way. Your girl's trying to buy new tires and buy the Chicago Bears and get us 7 Super Bowl rings. So you know where to send them. Alexis Jade YouTube channel. Share the stream. I know one of you 24 billionaires in Chicago are watching this. Come this way. Curtis, get your tires. I need to. Elon want to be a Bears fan? I don't think he wants to be a Bears fan. I don't think he wants to be in Chicago either. Oh gosh, don't bring someone great at reading this stuff he buys into the NFL. There are already those billionaires already. Yeah, I don't think we want Elon. We just need his money. That's true. That's true. That's true. I don't know though. I'm not sure he's rich in Chicago. Well, guys, we got to start recruiting. We got to figure it out. I got to go make pizza and wings. Everyone enjoy your night. Make that Josh video. He gets 0 respect in our AFC East roundtables. I will. I hope you enjoy your pizza and wings. And I am currently working on my Josh Allen video. So it'll be out hopefully sometime soon this week is the plan. But enjoy, and thanks for tuning in. Thanks for reminding me I'm old to remember basically the first commercial on texting. Yeah, I remember it. It was good times. Good times. The Bears whooped the Panthers, so there's that. Don't punch me. Yeah, well, we'll always have the Panthers until we don't. Anyone out there besides me that watched the 85 Bears win the Super Bowl? Unfortunately, I was not alive. But you know who was? Space Bear. Space Bear was alive for the 85 Super Bowl. He hasn't told me much about it because it's still a sensitive topic now that we've gone so long without winning, but he holds on to the memory dearly. Right, Space Bear? This guy right here. He's been around. He's seen it all. He might have even seen the Great Chicago Fire for all I know. Hello, I am Noah, but your name is Tony? Okay. Hello, Noah. Welcome in. Hello. What happened to your team? I wish I could tell you. A lot happened to my team. A lot happened. And nothing at all at the same time. At least let us get to a Super Bowl or 2 with him. I'm not being greedy here. Hey, you have this year. if you don't get to the Super Bowl with him this year, then that's all we can afford to give you. Because I think we're firing our head coach this season, and Ben Johnson, he's got to come our way. I'm sorry. So just make it to the Super Bowl this year. I'm sure it's not that hard. Hello. I'm old enough to have watched it. I wish I would. I watched it. Just missed the Jordan years, unfortunately. Same. I feel Jordan was still playing when I was a child, though. He just wasn't. It was like the end of his career, I feel. But I guess I need to Google that. Hold on. How long did he? Okay, maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe I just missed Jordan. Why do I feel like I have like memories of watching Michael Jordan when I didn't? Alternate dimension. I did. Channeling your inner Trump. Yeah. I just need a small loan of $1 million and I can buy the Chicago Bears. That's my impersonation. It was embarrassing. That game was terrible. Yes. Very, very bad. Can I also get on the small loan business? Hey guys, the more the merrier. If I buy the Bears and I got the money, I'll just spread the wealth. We'll all have like a live viewing party of the new stadium. Everyone can come in. I'll pay for everyone's flights, make sure everyone gets like some nice like bottle service. Like we'll be set up. We'll be good. You'll be the OG people. Welcome to the viewing party. McDonald's pretty close to McCaskey. Maybe and there's no relation, you could check with McDonald's. Maybe your burger royalty. Fun fact, actually, on my dad's side of the family, who I don't know much about, but I do know that my great, I think, yeah, no, I think it was my great grandpa, had built was one of the people back when McDonald's had the real like metal arches over the entryway, the big M. He was like just a steel worker or something and was like building them. And basically he had built them for like 3 different McDonald's or something. And he never got paid. And he had like gone to them and was like, hey, you guys didn't like pay me for my work. And the one owner who owned like these franchises was like, no, like you're not getting your money. We paid you. And he was like, you never paid me. Anyway, somehow, like, or maybe it was like that location's owner or something. And then the owner of like a certain franchise of McDonald's in that region found out about it and basically offered him like a share in McDonald's and offered him a like store, like to make up for him, because something happened where like he was due like a large amount of money, so they were trying to make it up to him, and he was like, because you went unpaid for so long and that like you were refused payment, like we will give you a franchise to run, like we will give you a store and like you can make your earnings off that. You could be a shareholder in McDonald's, like the whole thing. You don't have to be a steel worker anymore. And my great grandpa had gone to his dad and was like, you'll never believe what happened. They offered me this because remember that McDonald's that wouldn't pay me for the steel M that I built them. And my great great grandpa basically told him, no, you're too stupid to do that. You can't run a McDonald's. You have to turn them down. And so my great grandpa said like, no, thank you. I'll just take the money. And I could have had generational wealth, guys. I could be rich right now. Like, I wish I never knew that story, because now I know that I could have been in a line of money had my great great grandpa not told my great grandpa he was too stupid to run a McDonald's. So I could have bought the Bears, is what I'm saying. So now I really need these other billionaires to come through to help me buy the Bears. That's what we need. And I'll make a European league as well, named the Space Bears. So we'll have the Chicago Bears and we'll have the Amsterdam Space Bears. That's my plan. Jade Space Bear 2024. Yes. The current value of the Chicago Bears is $6.4 billion. We're so close. We're so close. We're almost there, guys. Keep contributing. I did realize that I got caught up in our comments and I forgot that I still needed to do my slide on my Bears grades. And we're an hour and 30 minutes in. So very quickly, let me give you my Bears grades from today's game. Spoiler alert, they're not good. Also, I forgot to give you Caleb Williams stats for the game. Not good. But while we're here, Caleb Williams, 53.7% completion percentage, 217 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 68.9 rating. Terrible. Kyler Murray, 65.0 completion percentage, 154 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions, 88.3 rating. Not amazing, but once again, Caleb Williams with the worst performance from the two quarterbacks. And finally, for my game grades for today, offense, F-. Yes, I brought the minuses out. I felt it was valid. They didn't score a single touchdown. They didn't turn the ball over. However, everything else was just terrible. It was just terrible. I don't know how you could give it anything other than an F. Defense gets an F. Even though they looked pretty good at the beginning of the game, they coughed up that huge run at the second half that really caused the game to blow out of proportions. They ended their 21-game streak and allowed the Cardinals to score almost 30 points on them. And they could not stop the run to save their lives, so they get an F. Special teams gets a D. Kyler Santos made some good field goals. However, Tory Taylor had the muffed punt, and we also got the flag on the field goal that negated the field goal and allowed the Cardinals to score. So special teams gets a D. And I really debated on that one because I thought Cairo kind of deserved a little bit higher of a score than a D, but all things considered, that's what they got. Coaching gets an F-. I feel like it actually averages out to an F. However, I felt he deserved an F-, not just Eberflus, but Shane Waldron and the QB coach and the defensive coordinator. Everyone deserved an F. So it goes to an F- for my grades for today. So I feel like that was probably what most of you, I would assume, expected, was a not great scorecard from this team. But that was my grades for today's game. No experience in recruiting billionaires, but I have experience in making billionaires. I suck at Monopoly. Well, do you want to help me be a billionaire so I can buy the Bears? Bears definitely need a new owner. That's what I'm working on, guys. Come on. Send me the billionaires. Send me the super chats. Watch the ads when they roll. Let's keep it going. This sounds like a setup for a TV drama. Can Alexis convince a rich person couple to help her buy the Bears? Find out next week on Buy Me the Bears. That would be incredible. I wish. I feel like the McCaskies would like ban me from Shecago if it became a show. Like they would never sell me the team because they would find out about the show and they would ban me from ever going to a Bears game until I like show up and I'm in like a powerful women's suit, like an all white suit or something with like my black sunglasses, and I just walk in and I'm like just standing on the sidelines, and then they're like, there's that Alexis girl that wants to buy the Bears. Is she here to make a deal? And I just pretend the whole time like I'm scouting the field and scouting the stadium, and then I get everyone else to buy into the hype of me, and then eventually I buy the Bears. See, another method we can go. There's multiple outlets here, people. My favorite Bears are Urlacher and Matt Forte. Great picks. Great picks. Your son is 8 years old? Nice. He hasn't suffered as long as we have with the Bears. Hopefully they get it together for him. Alexis changes the Chicago Bears to Space Bears of Chicago. Honestly, maybe in 2052, we got to make a change when everything goes to space and we have a team on Mars. My Lion's going to walk all over your property franchise. All right, pipe down, pipe down. The Bears still have a shot. You never know. You're probably right, but you never know. Favorite Bears are Butkus and Peyton. See, I agree, except I never got to watch them play. So I I would say they're my favorite Bears, but I can't say they're my favorite Bears because I didn't actually get to watch them. But I mean, I don't know how you can't have Walter Payton as number one. Let's just go fund me to buy the Bears is live. Let's go. I hate Jordan, so I'm glad he wasn't around when I started watching basketball. What? You hate Jordan? How could you hate Jordan? Is it because you're salty because he wasn't at Detroit? Hey Alexis, I know many are down on Flus, but how much blame do you put on polls for the roster builds? The O-line has looked average at best, and I think that's being nice. Yeah, I said this a little bit ago. I would say, unfortunately, like Flus has his flaws, and Flus is to blame for a lot of aspects of it. However, he's also kind of going to be the scapegoat a little bit for some of Poles' mistakes, which is not drafting or acquiring via trade enough O-line talent, not building up the trenches first before acquiring all this other talent that he did, the fact that he thought that this team was ready. Also, even though Eberflus is going to get blamed for hiring Shane Waldron, really Ryan Poles was the one that hired him. Ryan Poles was in the room asking him questions. He was the one interviewing this offensive staff and putting together this amazing staff that was going to break the cycle and help develop Caleb Williams. He's the one who decided to have a CFL coach or a quarterbacks coach from the CFL instead of getting a veteran quarterback on this roster for Caleb Williams. Like, Poles has mistakes made that, unfortunately, Flus is probably going to be the scapegoat for some of them because he's the head coach, because he's the figurehead, and because the performance on the field reflects him. But not all of that is necessarily Flus's fault. So unfortunately, in some aspects, Flus deserves it, and in some, he's just going to unfortunately be the scapegoat for Poles. I remember Jordan on the Wizards, but not the Bulls. Yeah, see, I think maybe that's what I'm remembering. Unfortunately, because how long was he on the Wizards for? Yeah, I feel like I'm remembering him there, not on the Bulls, which is sad. But I did have a Michael Jordan jersey growing up, so I don't know. Maybe try the Bernie Sanders approach. Just make a video like I'm once again asking for money. Okay. I'm once again asking for money to buy the Chicago Bears. If any of the 24 billionaires who live in Chicago are watching, please watch my YouTube videos and send me super chats to help me buy the Bears. We are $5 closer to the goal thanks to a super chat tonight. And I hope with your contributions, we can make it and buy the Chicago Bears from the McCaskies and turn this into a 7 Super Bowl winning team. Thank you for your contributions. Signed, I'm Alexis Jade, and I support this message. I hope that appealed to them. I hope that got the message across. I have a very early memory of my extended family crowding around a tiny box TV at grandma's watching a basketball game. I tell myself it was the Bulls in '98. I feel that. I have memories of watching the Rugrats. That's what I have memories of. I was obsessed with the Rugrats. I still love the Rugrats. Fits for Amsterdam with all that weed over there. Most fans would be spaced out a bit. True. I got the feeling my family had a whiskey brand until Prohibition. They kept making it and storing it in a warehouse, but it went on too long that they just sold the company and the stock. Oh, that sucks. Doesn't it suck when you find out that like ancestors were like making money moves and then they didn't capitalize on it and you're like, and now I'm poor when I could have been rich? Thanks, great grandpa. Amsterdam Space Fairs fits, to be honest. I'm telling you, it's going to happen. I'm going to make the Amsterdam Space Fairs. It was EE Goge and Happy Valley Whiskey. I would love to make my own, like, gin. I love gin. I would like to make That's what I'll do. When I buy the Bears and I own the Bears, I'm gonna make a gin called maybe I'll just call it Jade. And it will be a very nice gin. That's what I'm gonna make. Ooh, now I want like a gin and tonic. I haven't had one in a while. Love me some gin. Bears suck. Done with this trash franchise. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. They make it hard. They make it really hard. My dad could have bought a bunch of early Apple stock so I could be sitting in a VIP Ford Field booth right now. The mistakes of our family are unforgivable. And now we suffer and have to make our own money. This is ridiculous. No O-line and no defensive pass rush. Embarrassing. Eberflush. Agreed. Agreed. Average grade is boo minus. Yes. Billionaire Thruple does sound like a great Netflix show. I'm telling you. I think we can make it happen, you know? I think maybe Hailee Steinfeld has a few more acting roles under her belt than I do, but you know, we could make it work. She could teach me, she could give me some connections, and then I could, you know, start booking more roles, start making that money, and do some photo ops with them, and we're good. Also, we could have our own Netflix show, and then I buy the Bears. It sounds like a great win to me. And then, worst case, if Caleb Williams doesn't work out, which I think he will, but if he doesn't, then I'm just like, hey, Josh, we're going to need you to come play for the Bears. And then he's going to be like, okay. And then now we have a franchise quarterback. So I'm telling you, we have so many options and there's so many resources available if I just own the Bears. Undercover owner episode for the Bears. Yes. Cues the Jordan intro for her life. Yes. It's going to enter every time I walk into this, or it's going to play every time I enter the stadium. Okay, fellow Lions fans, I feel it is a little pot calling the kettle black to say another franchise is poverty given our history. Yeah, I agree. Look, we made jokes about your franchise for a long time, but it's not like they weren't warranted. Like the Lions were up until a few years ago. The Lions, like it was always like, well, the Lions are going to lion because they always just found a way to suck. And now the Bears always find a way to suck. And you know what? It goes in a cycle, and hopefully one of these days the Packers will always find a way to suck. And then we'll all be happy. Okay, yeah, Jordan, but hear me out. Space Jam. What if I made some Space Jam? So many ideas coming to my head right now. So many. Took my daughter to see Jordan play when he was with the Wizards. Oh, that's cool. Jealous. I'm a lifelong Pistons fan who is a third generation fan. I know how petty and small Jordan is vis-a-vis players my family loves. Okay. Fair enough. But, you know, MJ's the GOAT and he'll always be the GOAT. And I want to walk out to everywhere I go with the Michael Jordan Bulls intro theme song playing. And that is my goal in life. Good take on the Bernie impression, but let's try it again. But this time more like you're asking for charity, not ransom. I don't know. I thought that one really I thought that one really hit the spot. See, I wanted to give the appeal of like, you know, I'm just very nicely just a girl asking you billionaires for some money. Please. You know, I thought I nailed it. Maybe not. Vote Alexis for owner. Yes, submit your votes, please. Election day is this Tuesday. The Vikings are beating the Colts. The bad news just keeps coming. Let me see. Shiitake mushrooms, 14-10 Vikings. I mean, I didn't expect the Colts to beat the Vikings. The fact the score is this low is interesting. But what a commercial. You're a natural. I forecast we have you as the Bears owner by 2028. Okay. That gives me 4 years. 4 years of saving up money from super chats and ad revenue and maybe maybe some sponsorship deals, maybe booking a few roles, and by then I'll just save up $6.4 billion in that time. Easy. Trash take, a martini isn't a martini unless you make it with gin and stir it. I don't think that's a trash take. I love gin. I love gin. You are in luck. I believe gin is one of the easier spirits to make. I think so too. And I think I am going to make very tasty gin one day. I have that as a goal. I would love to have my own little brand of gin and then go to the bar and be like, a gin and tonic with Jade gin, please. That's my goal. Meanwhile, the Michael Jordan intro song is playing. Well, it could be worse. I remember when Bob Avenelli was the Bears QB. That's all hope I got right now. Okay, fair. I remember Sexy Rexy, and Jay Cutler, and who else do I remember? Probably a few more that I'm not remembering right now. Bathtub gin is a thing for a reason. True. Jade's bath gin, if the OF boom has taught us anything, it's that there's a market for female named bath liquids. Oh God, no, no, I don't want that one. I don't want that one. I want mine to be like, not that. Maybe you should turn into Miss Monroe again for the billionaire baiting. Yeah, I think I probably need to. I think I need to resort back to my Monroe and make another plea. Hello, gentlemen and ladies who are billionaires. It's Miss Monroe. I need to work on her accent, though. I'll have to study the way she talks. I just heard rumbling. If I'm being honest, there is one single goat, too many different areas. If I want to seem smart, I say wilt. I feel. What is that? I hear a very loud, like, rumbling. Like thunder, but it's not thunderstorming. Anyways, I think MJ is the GOAT that first comes to mind for me. Tom Brady is a GOAT. However, I do think if Patrick Mahomes continues Patrick Mahoming, he might have a run for his money. Although, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Great idea. Also, no, you know who's the real GOAT? Simone Biles. Simone Biles is the real GOAT of all GOATs. Incredible athlete. And maybe I'm biased because I was a gymnast, but like, to be able to do what she does, you have to be like, she's a space bear. Like, she is not from this universe to be able to do what she does. She makes it look easy, but I'm telling you guys, like, what she does is absolutely insane. She's the GOAT. So what are you guys saying? Alexis now is broke debating? Yes, apparently. But you know what? It's okay. It's okay. We got to do what you got to do. All those QBs you mentioned were much better. Trust me. Yeah, I mean, true. Even Sexy Rexy. Happy birthday, Miss McCaskey. I don't know if Virginia would be like into that or not. Bear down gin for the win. That could be like maybe Jade Beer is like the brand, but maybe Bear Down Gin is like a special edition I make. But the Bears, if no, but I'll be owning the Bears, so they can't sue me because I can name it whatever I want. Good point. I'll see myself out. No. Happy birthday, Mr. President. That's what I posted on Instagram stories. I posted the selfie of me as Miss Monroe, and I put, you know how on Instagram you could put a song with it. I made they have this song of Marilyn Monroe singing "Happy Birthday, Mr. President" on Instagram, and so I made that sound over the picture for my Instagram post. Forever blocking out the rest of the 90s from memory? Why? The late 90s was the best. MJ came from NC? Yeah. To put it in perspective, there was no NBA three-point line until 1979. Hard to compare players from different times with different rules. True, but unfortunately, you're never going to convince a Chicago sports fan that MJ's not the GOAT. It's just not going to happen. I wasn't even alive for most of MJ's career, and I will never not be convinced that MJ is the GOAT. However, if you want to say Simone's the overall GOAT, I'm fine with that. That's competing people against the world. Doesn't get any better than that. Bulls needs to draft and sign some real offensive linemen. Agreed. I wasn't alive, so it would all be blocked from my memory. Well, I was alive for the late 90s, but it probably would still be blocked from memory. But I can agree with you on Simone, true GOAT. Yes, Simone is the true GOAT. True GOAT. But we are creeping up here on 2 hours, and it is almost 10 p.m. and I need to stop thinking about football for the night and rest my head, even though I will still be thinking about football because I'm going to be doing some more of my planning for my Josh Allen video. But that won't be posted until later this week, probably. But I appreciate you guys all for watching. I will be live tomorrow again for Monday Night Football. Who do we have playing? Monday Night Football. We have Buccaneers, Kansas City. That should be an interesting one. Guys, we might actually have an interesting game on our hands. We were thinking about football. True, we got completely sidetracked. I should really make like a post-game podcast for people who aren't interested in half my ramblings so that they don't have to listen to all this, but maybe I will. Maybe before I post the Josh Allen video, I'll post like a post-game thoughts video for those who don't want to listen to an hour of rambling that we like to do over here. But good night all. Drink water, call your mothers. Will do. Not even sure what to think about the Bears anymore. Yeah, me neither. I don't either. I truly do not. My throat is starting to hurt. Okay. Thanks, Miss Monroe Jade. Yep, not a problem. Not a problem. But I hope you guys have a good rest of your night. Thank you guys for tuning in so live. And I think we ended the night well, even though it sucked with the Bears loss. I think we ended the night well with a good stream. But I will be live tomorrow for our Monday Night Football, and then I'll be live again Thursday for some Thursday Night Football, and then I'll be live again Sunday for some Bears, and there's going to be some main videos on the channel throughout the week as well. So, and if you're on the Patreon, I was originally going to post the Caleb Tracker video this week, but then I was like, you know what? I'm going to wait to see this game because to be honest, I was hoping he was going to have a better game so we would have some positives to talk about. But unfortunately, he did not. So it appears we're going to have an interesting Caleb Tracker video here this week. But that will be up as well sometime soon this week, too, early this week. So I appreciate you all for watching. I hope you have a good rest of your night. Thank you guys for tuning in. As always, I am Alexis Jade, and this is the Shecago Podcast. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.